Good day everyone, my name is Ray Mumming, and the following members are composed of John Cedric Mercado and Gerald Mortel. Today, we were going to discuss you the Lesson 3, Basketball Skills, and we are the Group 3. This activity provides an opportunity to demonstrate the basic skills in basketball, which will encounter activities that allows us to demonstrate understanding, and the benefits can derive from participation in a team sports. So our topic for today is all about basketball skills. And I think some of you may ask or may magtanong siguro na, Ray, ba't kailangan pa natin pag-aralan itong basketball skills? Marunong din naman kaming maglaro. Just like passing, shooting, dribbling, defense, layup, etc. Well, actually guys, just like for example, I think most of us naman siguro na marunong sumayaw, di ba? Pero tama ba yung pag-execute o pag-perform ng ating katawan? So ganun din dito sa lesson na ituturo namin sa inyo. Kaya malaga talaga na itama natin yung mga mali na akala natin ay tama. So what if naman na hindi proper yung paghawak mo ng bola in shooting pero nakakapag-shoot ka naman? Ayusin pa rin ba natin yon? Well, actually guys, kung laro-laro lang din naman with your friends, it's okay kahit di na natin ayusin yon. But if you're going to be an athlete or coaches, and also to be a future PE teacher, malaga talaga na ayusin natin yon, So what if na dumating yung panahon na ikaw yung na-assign na maging coach ng basketball sa school ninyo? Ituturo mo ba sa mga athlete mo yung nakasanayan paghawak ng bola na hindi proper? So that's why we need to study or to learn this lesson. There are many benefits gained from participating in team sports. Team participating can build self-esteem, promote social interaction, and helps one gain a sense of responsibility. Being involved in team sports can also help to attain personal fitness goals and maintain wellness. The time spent practicing with a team will improve your skills and give you countless hours of enjoyment. So ano daw yun? Self-esteem? Self-esteem. So ano nga ba yung tinatawag na self-esteem? Ito yung pagpapalaga sa sarili, because it helps you to develop skills of confidence. As your strength, skills, and stamina increase through training, you'll have more confidence in your ability because you'll see them visible improve. Next, we have promote social interaction. So when we say promote social interaction, it teaches them to cooperate, to be less selfish, and to listen to other teammates. It helps them make new friends and build their social circle outside school. And lastly, we have the sense of responsibility. So when we say sense of responsibility, they can teach a team to be disciplined and have respect for each other and help each other to improve their game and reach the next level of performance. So again, we have self-esteem, promote social interaction, and sense of responsibility. So here are the specific learning outcomes. At the end of the lesson, learners will be able to preferentially execute basic skills and tactics in basketball. So ano daw yun? So execute basic skills. So when we say execute basic skills, ito yung mga dribble, what are the proper way of passing, kung paano mag-execute ng shooting, layup, or defense, marami pa yan. And also when we say tactics in basketball, ito naman yung mga strategy when it comes playing in basketball, kung paano nyo ito mapapanalo o mapaparami ang score nyo sa paglalaro ng basketball. Next, we have to interpret rules and regulation. So why we need to understand these rules and regulation when playing basketball? Because to be fair, no, sa mga ibang mga players, no, and also to avoid injuries. So when we say rules and regulation kasi, it provides an agreement of understanding to competition. In sports, rules define what is allowed or not allowed to occur during situation on and off the court. And lastly, exhibit enjoyment in playing basketball. So when we say exhibit enjoyment in playing basketball, no, dapat naman talaga natin na i-enjoy lang yung paglalaro. Kasi ito yung pinakamalaga sa paglalaro ng basketball or any kinds of sports or participating in team sports. And now, let's proceed for the next reporter.
Good morning everyone. So my name is John Cedric R. Mercado. I'll be discussing to you why is it important to learn the basic skills in basketball. As we all know, basketball is popular in our country. Some of you are already familiar on how to play basketball. But for some of those who doesn't play basketball, I'll be explaining to you the importance of learning the basic skills in basketball. So, basketball skills are the most important thing to master when playing basketball because number 1, to have a better teamwork. For example, if you are the team captain of your basketball team, you acquire those skills to communicate with your teammates for the better teamwork outcome. Number 2, to have those advanced play or to outplay your opponent. If you are skillful enough when playing basketball, you know you can make different kinds of plays with your teammates and you can also outplay your opponent. And number 3, to have more chance of winning the game. Of course, if you can properly execute those skills when playing basketball, you will have more chance of winning the game. In learning the basic skills in basketball, we have specific learning outcome. So, at the end of the lesson, learners will be able to, number 1, proficiently execute basic skills and tactics in basketball. Number 2, interpret the rules and regulations of basketball. And number 3, exhibit enjoyment in playing basketball. So, we'll be explaining to you the basic skills in basketball. Number 1 is the shooting. Every basketball player loves to shoot the ball. The most practiced skill in the game is shooting. So here's how can you improve your shooting skills in basketball. Number 1 is remember BEEF. Balance elbow, and follow through when shooting the ball. Number 2, be relaxed and concentrate on the basket. Number 3, know when you have a good shot and then take it. Number 4, be in proper balance when shooting the ball. Number 5, follow through on every shot you take. Number 6, jump naturally. Number 7, up, hang, shoot is an easy way to remember. Number 7, make sure you have an arc in every shot you take. Number 8, be relaxed when shooting free throws. And last, number 9, practice all of your shots. For the continuation of this topic, thanks for listening. Let's proceed to the next reporter.
In this part of the video, I, Gerald Mortel, will be discussing to you the remaining 4 basketball skills. Dribbling. This moves involves bouncing the ball off the floor with your hands as you cover the floor.
This is how it's done. Dribble the ball with the hand and use only the tips of your finger and dribbling it. Employ the wrist of the forearm to push the ball while covering the court. Don't involve the whole hands to avoid losing control of the ball. Don't keep your fingers in touch with each other while dribbling. Spread your fingers to allow full control of the ball as it dribbles. Dribble the ball in one side of your body and not right in front. While dribbling one hand, use the other hand to drive your defender away from the ball.
Basketball is a team game. That means all players are involved with the process of playing the game and should function as one. That is why passing the ball to one player to another is important. Basically, there are two types of pass: air pass and bounce pass.
Air pass travels between players without hitting the floor. Bounce pass is thrown to the floor so that it bounces to the intended player. Air pass include chest pass, a pass that originates from the chest to the receiver's chest level, and overhead pass, the pass that originates from the forehead. A good pass is a pass teammate can catch. When passing, step toward your receiver. When catching, step toward the pass. Like shooting, the ball shall have the backpin to it. This is accomplished by the following through on every pass.
Next one is rebounding. Rebounding is one of the major aspects of the game. It is your ability to jump with power to gain position of the ball as it bounces to the rim after a failed shot before it touches the floor.
So, how to make a good rebound? Here's how. Practice good footwork and vertical leap or jumps. Anticipate where the ball will land. The longer the shoot or the harder the rim, the farther the bounces. When the shooter is a soft shooter, this means he always takes time to put an arc in his shots. The ball bounces near the ring. When shooter is a hard shooter, this means there's a little or no arc on his shots. Then the ball bounces far from the ring. Leg power and strong body are needed in rebounding. That's why it is essential that strength and power exercises should be considered to conditioning your body.
Running. Running is one of the basic skills that a basketball player should possess.
Here are some tips for you to improve your running skills. Always have a good pair of playing shoes. Always do a combination of dynamic stretching and warm-up activities across the court before going out to play a game. These exercises have always been introduced during training, but in case you have already forgotten, here they are. Dynamic stretching, toe walk, shuffle, heel walk, back pedal, inch walk, jogging, high knees, carioca, butt kicks, and jumping jacks.
So good morning everyone, my name is Ray Mami, and the following members are composed of John Cedric Mercado and Gerald Portel. So today, we were going to continue our report because last 2 days, we discussed about the basketball skills. So our topic for today is all about lesson 4, which is the rules and regulations. This module is one of those ways which efforts were combined to learn at the same time enjoy playing. This will provide with opportunities to reflect and understand the rules and regulation of basketball. This is one of those ways with which efforts are combined to let the learners learn at the same time enjoy playing. So in this lesson, we were going to discuss to you what are the rules and regulations, playing regulations, what are the equipments, violation, fouls, original rules, ano yung tinatawag na player, substitutes, ano yung pinagkaiba ng teams and teammates, and also what is shot clock and time limits, free throw, and international rules of basketball. Now let's proceed for the specific learning outcome. At the end of the lesson, learners shall be able to interpret the rules and regulation of basketball, to understand and perform better skills in basketball, to demonstrate the basic skills in basketball, and to perform the basic skills according to the rules and regulations. So ayun nga, no, it is very important na meron tayong rules and regulation when playing sports, including this basketball. At the same time, we enjoy playing. But suddenly, no, we were not going to demonstrate to you through face-to-face, no, because of this pandemic. But I hope na matapos na agad itong pandemic. But Ma'am Lopez sent us last 2 days, diba, about the parents' consent na kahit papaano, makakapag face-to-face pa din tayo. Let's proceed to the rules and regulation. So, when we say rules and regulation, no, it provides an agreement of understanding to competition. In sports, rules define what is allowed or not allowed to occur during situation on and off the court. Rules govern anything from wearing proper uniforms to how to keep score during games of different level of competition. So, it means, no, to keep the game fair for all, no, because without of this, player can make up the rules as they play, or if you don't follow the rules, you will be ejected out of the game and you will have caused another player to be injured. You will be known as a dirty player, cheap player, someone who people don't want to their team. No? Sino ba naman yung gusto na ka-teammate mo nang bubugbog, di ba? Ng kalaban, no? Ayaw natin ng ganun. Now let's proceed to the rules and rules for the offense, no? So when we say rules for offense, no, sila yung may take advantage na magka-score because sila yung may hawak ng bola. Kumbaga, sila yung mga attacker, no, when playing basketball. The player must bounce or dribble the ball with one hand while moving both feet, no? Because if any time both hands touch the ball or the player stop dribbling, the player must only move one foot. And the foot is stationary is called the pivot foot, no? Ayan. Yan ang tinatawag na pivot foot. Next, the basketball player can only take one turn at dribbling, no? In other words, once a player has stopped dribbling, they cannot start another dribble, no? A player who start dribbling again is called for double dribbling violation and loses the basketball to the other team, no? Yan. Just like for that, no, once you dribble, hindi ka na pwede mag-dribble ulit, no? Yung gawin mo lang is, just like for example, no, yung right foot mo, na magiging pivot foot. And then yung another foot mo, which is your left foot, siya yung magsiswing, no? Kung saan ka, kumbaga kung saan ka magdidirect, no? Kung right or left. Next is the ball must stay in bounds, no? If the offensive team loses the ball out of the bounds, the other team gets control of the basketball. So, napakalaga na nagdi-dribble lang tayo, no? Patuloy lang. Kasi, hindi natin gusto na maagaw yung bola sa atin when playing basketball. Next, the player hand must be on the top of the ball while dribbling, no? Because if they touch the bottom of the basketball while dribbling and continue to dribble, this is called carrying, and the ball and the player will lose the ball to the other team. And lastly, once the offensive team crosses half court, they may not go back into the backcourt, no? Just like for that, as you can see, no? So this is called the backcourt, no? So just like for example, no, ako na offensive, no, may hawak na bola, then pumasok ako sa court ng defensive, no? Once na nakapasok na ako sa defensive na court, hindi na ako pwedeng bumalik sa aming base, no? Kasi ma-violate ako. And it is called a backcourt violation, no? If the defensive team knocks the balls into the backcourt, then the offensive team can recover the ball legally. Diyan. So, next, for defensive rules. So, when we say defensive rules, no, the main rule for defensive player is not to foul. A foul is described as gaining an unfair advantage through physical contact. There is some interpretation that has to be made by the referee. But in the general, the defensive player may not touch the offensive player in the way that causes the offensive player to lose the ball or miss a shot. So, yung rule lang talaga ng defensive is to defense, no? Just like for that, no? Yung tawag dyan is defensive stance. So bawal kapag defensive tayo, no, bawal natin silang itulak, no. Kundi i-defend lang natin yung sarili natin or yung natin, yung ring natin, no, na hindi sila makaka-score. Next is rules for everyone. So when we say rules for everyone, although the foul rule is described above as a defensive rule, it applies exactly the same to all players on the court, including offensive players. So kung mapapansin natin is mas maraming rule, no, yung defensive kaysa sa offensive, but ganun din naman, no, fair lang kasi just like for example na kunwari after ako yung offensive, no, after I shoot, magiging defensive din ako after, no. Kung ano yung rule na defensive and offensive, dapat natin sundin yun. Next, basketball player cannot kick the ball or hit the ball with their fist, no. So kapag naglalaro tayo ng basketball, bawal natin sipain yung bola kasi hindi naman yun soccer ball, no. And also bawal din natin yun suntukin yung bola kasi hindi naman yun punching bag, di ba? And now, let's proceed for number 3, no. No player can touch the ball while it is traveling downwards towards the basket or if it is on the rim. This is called goaltending, or touching the ball on the rim is legal in some games, no. Because when the player already released the ball or shot the ball, no, and the ball traveling downwards towards papuntang basket or ring, no, the defensive cannot touch the ball because they will call goaltending. So dapat nilang antayin na yung bola na bumaba. And also kapag yan, no, as you can see in the picture, no, kapag yung offensive tumira sa tres o kahit sa malayo, tapos yung defensive, no, alam niyang sablay yung bola, it's okay, no, na kunin agad ni defensive yung bola, no, at hindi yon considered as goaltending. Here are the rules for everyone, no. Every player on the court is subject to the same rules regardless of the position they play. The position in basketball are just for the team basketball strategy and there are no position in the rules. So every players, no, in the court, no, 5 yan, diba? So may kanya-kanya yung mga position, which is point guard, shooting guard, small forward, power forward, and center. So for the next reporter, no, they will going to discuss about that, no. And that's all for my report. Thank you.
To continue the report, I'll be discussing to you the players, substitutes, teams, and teammates in basketball. Naismith's original rules did not specify how many players were to be on the court in 1900s. 5 players became standard, and players that were substitute were not allowed to re-enter the game. Players were allowed to re-enter game once from 1921 and twice from 1934. Such restrictions on substitutions were abolished in 1945 when substitutions became unlimited. Coaching was originally prohibited during the game, but from 1949, coaches were allowed to address players during a timeout. Originally, a player was disqualified on his second foul. This limit became 4 fouls in the 1911 and 5 fouls in 1945. Still, the case in the most form of basketball where the normal length of the game before any overtime periods is 40 minutes. When the normal length is 48 minutes, this is the case with the National Basketball Association in the United States and Canada. A player is accordingly disqualified on his 6th foul. And now I will show you a video about shot clock and time limits.
In this video, you will learn how to avoid the various time violations in basketball. In basketball, there are 4 types of time violations. The first violation is the 24-second rule. The attacking team has 24 seconds to attempt a field goal from the moment they take possession of the ball. If by the end of the 24 seconds the team still hasn't taken a shot, the referee will whistle and turn the ball over to the other team. If the team shoots and catches the rebound without the ball touching the hoop, the 24 seconds keep being counted. However, if the ball has touched the hoop, the team gets another 14 seconds on the clock. The second violation is the 8-second rule. When a team gets the ball within their own half of the court, including on turnovers, they have 8 seconds to get the ball into the opponent's half. The third violation is the 5-second rule. In the case of a throw-in, the player has 5 seconds to pass the ball to a teammate. During play, if the player in possession is under pressure from an opponent less than a meter away, they only have 5 seconds to pass, shoot, or dribble. The fourth violation is the 3-second rule. In offense, a player can't stay in the key for longer than 3 seconds at a time. To earn another 3 seconds, the player has to get both feet outside the key before going back in. The violation isn't called if the player is coming out of the key, or if one of the team is taking a shot at the end of these 3 seconds. The penalty for all these violations is a turnover for the opponent, so always bear them in mind. Over to you.
The next video is all about fouls, free throws, and violations.
In this video, you will learn how to avoid committing fouls in basketball. Penalties for a foul can be a turnover or one or more free throws. In basketball, there are 2 types of fouls: personal fouls and fouls related to unsporting behavior. First, personal fouls. Any violation committed when a player blocks, holds, pushes, charges, or grabs an opponent is counted as a personal foul. In defense, to avoid committing a foul, you have to block your opponent with the chest and stance. The defender can move backwards or to the sides but cannot deliberately run at the opponent to make contact. Any contact with the arms, shoulders, hips, or knees can lead to a defensive foul and a penalty. While in possession of the ball, a player in attack can be sanctioned for charging if they try to push past the defender already in position. As a general rule, it is the player defending or attacking who approaches the opponent who is penalized for committing a foul. If a player commits 5 fouls, they are excluded from the game. When a foul is called, if the player isn't in the process of shooting, the ball is turned over to the other team. However, if the player is shooting at the basket when the foul is called, they will be granted free throws. There are 2 possible cases. If the shot misses, the player is granted 2 or 3 free throws depending on the value of the attempted shot. If the shot is scored, the points are granted and the player is granted 1 free throw. If a team commits 4 fouls during the same quarter, each new foul will be penalized by 2 free throws. Secondly, fouls related to unsporting behavior. If a player is making rough or excessive contact, the referee can call a foul for unsporting behavior. If a player commits 2 of these fouls during a game, they will be sent off for the rest of the game. The referee can also call a technical foul, in case of illegal gamesmanship or dispute, for instance, or can directly exclude a player for an unsporting gesture that is clearly deliberate. All of these fouls are penalized with 1 or more free throws, followed by a turnover for the opponent. During games, be careful to avoid committing fouls as there can be heavy penalties for your team. Over to you.
Next is the video about international basketball.
It's that time of the year again, when NBA players need to adapt to the international FIBA rules. In this video, I will explain 10 major differences between the NBA and the FIBA rule sets. So if you are preparing for the Olympics as seriously as Zach LaVine,
Quick first step and the ball on the dribble.
What about crossover steps? So say you're facing up again.
you've come to the right place. Difference number 1. Court size. The size of an NBA court is 94 by 50 feet, or 28.65 by 15.24 meters. Meanwhile, the size of a FIBA court is 91 feet 10 inches by 49 feet 2.5 inches, or 28 by 15 meters. So, the FIBA court is a bit smaller than the NBA's. Difference number 2. Three-point range. Along with the larger court, the NBA three-point line is further from the basket, 23 feet 9 inches, or 7.24 meters away. The distance becomes shorter if you shoot from the corner, 22 feet or 6.7 meters. Meanwhile, according to FIBA, the three-point line has the same distance from every single angle and is measured at a little over 22 feet or 6.75 meters. Difference number 3. Duration of game. Every quarter in the NBA lasts 12 minutes, while each one in FIBA's competition is 10 minutes long. Overtimes last 5 minutes in both competitions. Difference number 4. Timeouts. In the NBA, teams each have 7 timeouts during regulation. Each squad is limited to no more than 4 timeouts in the fourth quarter, and 2 timeouts per team after the 3-minute mark of the fourth period. In overtime, each team is allowed 2 timeouts. Also, coaches aren't the only ones who can call timeouts in the NBA. This can also be done by players that have possession of the ball. In FIBA basketball, the timeout rules are a bit more straightforward. Each team can use 2 timeouts during the first half and 3 timeouts during the second. They are limited to 2 timeouts with 2 minutes or less remaining in the fourth quarter and overtime periods. Difference number 5. Fouls. Personal foul limit in the NBA is 6, while FIBA grants only 5 personal fouls. There are technical fouls in both rule sets. However, technical fouls are not considered personal fouls in the NBA, while in FIBA, they are. Flagrant 1 and Flagrant 2 fouls do not exist in FIBA. Instead, there are unsportsmanlike fouls. These are basically Flagrant 1 fouls and are charged for excessive contact. However, they are also charged in clear path situations and instances where a defensive player does not go for the ball. For example, wraparound fouls that are considered personal fouls in the NBA will be regarded as unsportsmanlike fouls in FIBA. Just like flagrant fouls, unsportsmanlike fouls will mean 2 shots at the line and a return of possession. In FIBA, there are disqualifying fouls that work similarly to flagrant 2 fouls. If a player is called for 2 unsportsmanlike fouls, or 1 unsportsmanlike foul and 1 technical foul, they are thrown out of the game. Difference number 6. Basket interference. In both rule sets, goaltending is called when a player blocks a shot after it hits the backboard. However, in the NBA, players cannot touch the ball when it is above the basket ring and within the imaginary cylinder. In FIBA, players are allowed to touch the ball after it hits the rim, and there is no possibility for the ball to go in the basket, even if the ball is within the cylinder above the rim. Players can also tip the ball in, even if it's still in the cylinder area. Difference number 7. Jump ball situations. The game begins with a jump ball both in FIBA and the NBA. However, the FIBA rules state that if there's a jump ball situation during the game, players will not actually jump for the ball to gain possession. Instead, possession will be awarded to the team that did not start the quarter with the basketball. Difference number 8. Review of play. There is no coach's challenge in the FIBA game, while fouls can be reviewed to determine if they were personal, unsportsmanlike, or disqualifying. They cannot be cancelled. Also, FIBA referees tend to take less time reviewing plays compared to the NBA. Difference number 9. Defensive 3-second violation. In the NBA, there are both offensive and defensive 3-second rules. Meanwhile, in the FIBA world, there is only an offensive 3-second violation. This means that on defense, players can stay in the paint for as long as they like. Difference number 10. Traveling violation. This is perhaps the biggest difference between the NBA and FIBA rules. In the NBA, after a player catches the ball, he can immediately take a step before putting the ball on the floor. According to the FIBA rules, unless they are pivoting in place, the players must put the ball on the floor before taking any step. They may also take a step and dribble the ball at the same time. However, if a player with the ball takes a step before putting the basketball on the floor, it is considered traveling. Let us know in the comments what you think about these rule differences. Do you think the NBA could adapt any of FIBA's rules and vice versa? If you like this video, subscribe to the Basket News channel for much more basketball content.
And that's all for our report in this video. Thanks for listening, stay safe, and God bless.
This time, let us proceed to the equipment.
One of the great things about basketball is that you don't need a lot of equipment to play. Just get a ball and find a goal and you can start a pickup game. However, there are some official rules about what equipment you need when playing competitively. Let us have the ball. The main thing to know about the basketball is the size. There are different sizes for different ages, as well as for boys and for girls. Standard men's basketball, size 7. This is the size used by the NCAA men, boys high school, as well as the NBA. It has a circumference between 29.5 and 30 inches and weighs between 20 and 22 ounces. Standard women's basketball, size 6. This is the basketball used by the NCAA women, girls high school, and the WNBA. It is between 28 and 29 inches in circumference and weighs 18 to 20 ounces. Junior basketball, size 5. The junior size basketball is for boys and girls between the ages of 8 to 12. It is between 27.25 to 27.75 inches in circumference and weighs 14 to 16 ounces. Mini basketball, size 3. For young children ages 5 to 8, the mini ball is 22 to 22.5 inches in circumference and weighs 10.5 to 11.25 ounces. The basket. The basket is made up of the backboard, rim, and net. The rim is 18 inches in diameter. A regulation backboard is 72 inches wide by 48 inches tall, although you will find the backboards can vary in size. The rim should be 10 feet from the ground. Typically, a 10-foot rim is used from ages 6th grade and older. For younger kids, you can lower the goal so that they can take a proper shot at the goal.
A regulation basketball court in international games is 91.9 feet, 28 meters long, and 49.2 feet, 15 meters wide. And the NBA and NCAA, the court is 94 by 50 feet or 29 by 15 meters. Most courts have wood flooring, usually constructed from maple planks, running in the same direction as the longer court dimension. Let us go to the main violations in basketball.
Here is a list and description of non-foul violations in the game of basketball. The penalty for most violations is loss of possession of the ball. Out of bounds. The ball is considered out of bounds when it touches the ground outside the lines of the court. The lines themselves are considered out of bounds as well. It is also out of bounds if the ball touches a player whose any part of their body touching the ground out of bounds. Double dribble. You only get to dribble once in basketball. If you stop dribbling, you have to pass it to another player or shoot the ball. If you start dribbling again, this is called double dribbling. Carrying or palming. Carrying or palming is like a double dribble. Players may not put the palm of their hands under the ball or carry the ball in one hand for a long time. Over and back. Once the offensive team has gotten the ball over half court, they cannot go back into the defender's half court with the ball. Kicking. Players are not allowed to intentionally kick the ball. If a defensive player kicks the ball, the offensive team will get it out of bounds. Traveling or walking. One of the basic ideas of the sport of basketball is that you have to dribble or bounce the ball while you are walking or running. When you have stopped dribbling, one of your feet will become your pivot foot. You cannot move your pivot foot or lift it off the ground. If you do, this is called traveling. Time violations. The first violation is the 24-second rule. The attacking team has 24 seconds to attempt a field goal from the moment they take possession of the ball. By the end of the 24 seconds, if the team still hasn't tried to score the goal, the referee will whistle and turn the ball over to the other team. If the team shoots and catches a rebound without the ball touching the hoop, the 24 seconds keep being counted. However, if the ball has touched the hoop, the team gets another 14 seconds on the clock. The second violation is 8-second rule. When a team gets the ball within their half of the court including on turnovers, they have 8 seconds to get the ball into the opponent's half. The third violation is the 5-second rule. In the case of the throw, the player has 5 seconds to pass the ball to a teammate. During the play, if the player in position is under pressure from an opponent less than a meter away, then they only have 5 seconds to pass, shoot, or dribble. The fourth violation is a 3-second rule. In offense, a player can't stay in the key for longer than 3 seconds at a time. To get another 3 seconds, the player has to get both feet outside the key before going back in. The violation is called if the players coming out of the key or the team is taking a shot at the end 3 seconds.
Fouls. Penalties for a foul can be a turnover or one or more free throws in basketball. There are 2 different types of fouls in a basketball game. They are personal fouls and fouls relating to unsporting behavior.
Any violation committed when a player blocks, holds, pushes, or grabs opponents are counted as personal fouls. Any contact with the arms, shoulders, hips, or knees can lead to a defensive foul and leads to a penalty. When in possession of the ball, the player attack can be sanctioned for charging if they try to push past the defender already in position. As a general rule, a player defending or attacking who approaches the opponent is the one who will be penalized for committing a foul. A player committing more than 5 fouls will be excluded from the game. If a team commits more than 4 fouls in the same quarter, each new foul is penalized with 2 free throws. When the players are making rough or excessive contact, the referee will call for unsporting fouls. If the players commit 2 of these fouls during the game, then the referee can send off the player for the rest of the game. The referee can also call a technical foul in case of illegal gamesmanship or dispute, for instance, or it can directly exclude a player for an unsporting gesture that is clearly deliberate.
Original rules.
On January 15, 1892, James Naismith published his rules for the game of basketball that he invented. The original game played under these rules was quite different from the one played today, as there was no dribbling, dunking, three-pointers, or even shot clock, and goaltending was legal. Number 1. The ball may be thrown in any direction with one or both hands. Number 2. The ball may be batted in any direction with one or both hands, never with fist.
Number 3. A player cannot run with the ball. The player must throw it from the spot on which he catches it. Allowance to be made for a man who catches the ball when running at a good speed. Number 4. The ball must be held in or between the hands. The arms or body must not be used for holding it. Number 5. No shouldering, holding, pushing, tripping, or striking in any way the person of an opponent shall be allowed. The first infringement of this rule by any person shall count as a foul. The second shall disqualify him until the next goal is made or, if there was evident intent to injure the person, for the whole of the game. No substitute allowed. Number 6. A foul is striking at the ball with a fist. Violation of Rules 3 and 4, and such described in Rule 5. Number 7. If either side makes 3 consecutive fouls, it shall count a goal for the opponents. Consecutive means without the opponents in the meantime making a foul. Number 8. A goal shall be made when the ball is thrown or batted from the grounds into the basket and stays there without falling, providing those defending the goal do not touch or disturb the goal. If the ball rests on the edge and the opponent moves the basket, it shall count as a goal. Number 9. When the ball goes out of bounds, it shall be thrown into the field and played by the first person touching it. In case of dispute, the umpire shall throw it straight into the field. The thrower in is allowed 5 seconds. If he holds it longer, it shall go to the opponent. If any side persists in delaying the game, the umpire shall call a foul on them. Number 10. The umpire shall be the judge of the men and shall note the fouls, and notify the referee when 3 consecutive fouls have been made. He shall have power to disqualify people according to Rule 5. Number 11. The referee shall be judge of the ball and shall decide when the ball is in play, in bounds to which sides it belongs, and shall keep the time. He shall decide when a goal has been made and keep account of the goals with any other duties that are usually performed by a referee. Number 12. The time shall be 2 15-minute halves with 5 minutes rest between. And the last number, 13. The side making the most goals in the time is declared the winner. In case of a draw game may, by agreement of the captain, be continued until another goal is made.